Okay, we're back. Um, okay, get back to my notes here. Okay, so I started an ecology club at West, and our first major project was what are my notes? Was recycling. We wanted to get the school recycling again, and this attracted a bunch of freshmen who were looking for a place to be. We had a team of recyclers who picked up, and Mary, you can go ahead and put photo, I guess, one of them in there.
Yeah.
Attracted a number of freshmen. So we have the team, and they'd pick up at classroom doors once a week. One young man was very open to guidance, and he took much responsibility and did a wonderful job in leadership. And Mary, show the next picture there because so he was our uh, minus. So he recycler of the year. He did a great job, and the SPED program actually took the program over after 2 or 3 years because they're working with students on their work skills. But in our years, we saved 350 trees. Okay, our next big project was the Habitat Garden. With money from the school, yes, 13 years ago, schools had some funds. And with the guidance of master gardeners from Green Bellevue and watering during the summer drought, where we watered multiple times a week to um, take care of those young plants. But we got it done and we got through the drought. We also got the school's campus designated as a certified wildlife habitat by the National Wildlife Federation. Because our big tasks were so about doing stuff, we attracted a lot of doers who got a lot done. But we also had some other activities like bringing speakers. Nebraska Wildlife Rehab brought bats, and this was our biggest draw. In the 7 years I was there, if you bring in the bats, the people will come. And or that was my experience. We also brought in a retired National Wildlife or National Weather Service meteorologist who talked about climate change. We also had a PhD from Creighton who worked with biofuels who presented to the club. He also gave us a tour of Omaha Biofuels Co-op where they produce biofuels and gave us a tour of Creighton Lab. Um, let's see, we did planting with trees. We did mulching and planting and pruning at the Arboretum at West with the guidance of, and you got another photo, some photos on that, Maria, with guidance by the Bellevue Tree Board. We did campus cleanups. We toured Hands of the Heartland, who had a full recycling operation. We did an Arbor Day skit. We attended annual bat release with Nebraska Wildlife Rehab. We had our membership went through a lot of change. But before I go there, we painted and prepped bat houses, 4 of which are on campus now. They're mounted on metal poles to prevent predators from being able to climb up for a lunch. We hosted a green teen rally where there are 5 schools represented. We attended green teen gatherings at Creighton Prep and at Benson. Let's see. I had lots of coordination with different staff like principals and teachers and custodians. At first, our group wanted to do the stuff and hang around a lot, but then we moved away from the big task and our membership evolved to more academically minded. We drew students with activity fair and with announcements of our activities and tabling during lunch. Okay, that was my chance to share. I'm going to take this time to, there you go. There's a club celebrating, having fun. Okay. Takes up my whole screen. Where's my notes? Okay, well, everybody, I guess when you signed in, you already know that we're recording this. Welcome, everybody. This panel is presented by the Green Club Committee, and we're part of Green Bellevue. But our work, like the air, it knows no boundaries. So we have committee members from OPS schools. One of our presenters to our clubs tonight, two presenters actually, but one of our clubs is from Council Bluffs. Our goal is to green the schools, and one way is to support the school staff members and parents. So tonight, there's two of us speaking about high school, two from middle school, just one from elementary because one person had sent their regrets because of conflict. So we're going to about have half the time in presentations and half the time in Q&A. Hope you have lots of questions. We do have lots more to share if you want to hear, we'll talk. But we also want to have a sense of who's here and what schools you're connected to. I don't know if you want to do it publicly, but ultimately you can put it in the chat to identify the school or other entity if it's not a school. If you'd like to add your name and email address, that would be awesome. If you want to give contact information, make it less public, you can email me, or you can, guess you can use the chat and just message me and not the whole group. Okay. That said, we're going to go to our next speaker, who is Chloe Zarp. Go ahead, Chloe.
Hi. Hi, guys. My name is Chloe Zarp. I am a first year here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I am a voting board member for Green Bellevue and a co-sponsor for the Green Schools Committee for Green Bellevue. I was the founder and president of the Green Initiative Club at Bellevue East High School. I started the group in my freshman year with a couple of friends, just honestly looking to talk about things that were going on, just a general interest for the environment. And it really didn't start off as anything much more than just a conversation between friends and a teacher. This group began to grow after COVID when we all came back, and I began to recruit other friends and other staff members and looking to kind of improve the ways that Bellevue East was interacting with the community and its environment. So in the year of 2021 and 2022, my friends and my group hosted park cleanups throughout the Bellevue area. And along with Bellevue West and their sustainable Bell West group, we helped to improve the school initiatives and efforts in the Bellevue community. In my senior year of high school, I started a composting program that was then paralleled at Bellevue West through Jackie Petro, who's here on this meeting. And together, we started this composting program that now has been implemented through both East and West and has been going swimmingly. One of the things that I have done that I'm looking forward to starting with other groups is I started my own group and kind of built it from the ground up. And that's something that I wanted to offer as my support through this meeting, is I have that experience from the student side and seeing how that leadership and how those efforts need to be started. And that's honestly my main goal of support through this group. I joined Green Bellevue as a student representative, just kind of as someone who showed general interest through the group. And in 2022, I was voted Green Bellevue's Environment Champion of the Year, which is kind of what led me to become a student representative for the organization. And following that, I became a student representative for Bellevue East for the next 2.5 years, until in this past fall, I became a full voting board member. Although I don't have any pictures of it, I helped our club build up a community garden that we had inside the school. I've done park cleanups, I've run different initiatives. I have started various programs and processes that have helped to improve the efforts of just greenness in the school, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to help others with. Thinking, so my main thing that I'd like to kind of highlight is the fact that although I'm no longer in the Bellevue area, that I am reachable and very much connected to the Green Bellevue organization. I'm a co-host with Steve, as I've said before, and we host our bi-weekly meetings where we've started to help organizations like at Bryan High School and Omaha South High School and kind of build up their green clubs. And that's kind of what I've been looking forward to helping out, is just other groups that are either looking to build upon or start new groups. I know that's not my full 5 minutes, but that's my goal. That's what I'm happy to talk about. So yeah.
So the plan is that our presenters will present for the first half of our hour. So we open it to lots of questions, to whatever you guys want to talk about. So then let's see, our next speaker is, so we'll hold the questions for a little longer. The next speaker is Melissa Hansen from Logan, Fontenelle.
It's been a while since I've used Zoom, so I'm a little rusty, but I'm just thrilled that I was invited to be a part of this panel. I inherited our school garden about 4 years ago. Always had a passion for gardening and growing things. It is enormous and owns me a lot of the time, but we have a really good time. We have a garden club with quite a few members. Actually, it's built up over the years, but I have a slideshow I want to show. So I'm going to go to screen share, see if I can figure it out. Okay. All right. So it looks like it's already going, and that's fine. The title slide isn't on there, but we received a grant this last year to put a path through our garden, and we were featured in a video for the Bellevue Schools Foundation. So I just wanted to show that because I think it gives a pretty good idea or a good sense of what we do in our group. Okay.
This is what the coneflower looks like when it's ready to harvest. It can be a place where students can meet and intermingle with other people and have fun gardening. I have a club that meets out here, and it's actually become pretty popular. We have quite a few kids that come out and they just really enjoy working outside. So I'm sitting on a bench. Virginia Newton applied for a grant to have these benches made from recycled materials. And then we have the garden path right here. There was a grant for different landscaping items and rocks that are in the garden. I think what's really special about receiving a grant from the foundation is all the different places where the donations came from teachers in my own school to, staff in the district, parents, local businesses. This is a really good way to go outside and get some hard work in. There are a lot of people who care enough to give money to our schools and the foundation. And it helps kids to come out, feel more comfortable, have a nicer place to experience nature and just the calmness that it brings. Thank you. We have lots of different students in our.
Okay, I'll stop it there. A couple of other things I wanted to feature. If I can
We are
the video. Okay, yes, we received a bunch of native plants from the Nebraska Monarch Society, and we're a certified monarch habitat, which is something we're pretty proud of. We've got some bee balm there and some coneflower. Also in the winter, when there's, it's cold, it's hard to go out into the garden, we start seeds and we grow flowers and vegetables that we later sell to the staff to raise money for our garden. This is what we have currently set up right now. And here's some of our tomatoes, and then we got marigolds to bloom already, which has been pretty fun. We actually met today and took a look at these and cleaned up the garden a little bit. One thing I did not expect is all the wildlife in the garden. They made an appearance many times. I tried to do a summer school class, and we had deer that kept having babies out in the garden. If you can see, there's a baby fawn there. Here's a turkey we encountered. A wasp. This is a picture that a student took. We had some photo contests too, and then a robin's egg. Here's one of my favorite pictures of a little fawn that we found a couple years ago. And just students enjoying the garden. One of the things that I really enjoyed today was just seeing the kids socialize, and they come from all different backgrounds and social groups. And when we come together, we just really have a lot of fun in the garden. Not all of us want to work super hard, but that's okay, because I think the socializing part is really important too, and just getting outside. This is just a picture of what the garden path looked like before we received the grant this past year. Got kind of muddy, a little hard to walk through sometimes. And then afterwards, you can see we have a nice path that is easier for kids, especially kids with mobility issues, to use. We have a pretty large ISIC, which is more of a developmental disabled group at our school, and it's nice to see them go out and enjoy the path. Some of them have wheelchairs and things like that, so the path just made it a lot nicer. So I think my time is up, but thanks for letting me share. And hi, Petros.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, Melissa. We're just moving right through this. Okay, hey, next up, we have a couple guys over from Lewis Central. Nathan and Dustin, take it away.
Yeah, my name's Nathan Van Zanny, and this is Dustan Kern. So we're from Lewis Central and Council Bluffs. But before we talk about our program called Titan Plastics, it's essentially a plastic manufacturing program that uses recycled plastic to make all of our products. So things kind of like that bench that you saw in the last presentation. We can't quite make that yet, but we're getting there. We'll show you some stuff we have made. But I guess I'll open up our presentation with kind of just talking about the problem with plastic recycling in general. So when you put plastic in the recycling bin, you just assume it gets turned right back into another product that's similar to that, but we found that's not really the case. We've been talking to a lot of our plastic recycling companies. They're actually material recovery facilities, what they call them, and they just simply collect and bale the plastic, and they ship it to other places that actually recycle it. Well, it turns out a lot of places that actually recycle it, they're not here in the US. So they end up shipping a lot of our plastic that's all baled up to other countries, a lot of poorer countries. Like it used to be China, but they decided they don't want our plastic anymore. So it goes to like Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam. That's where a lot of Southeast Asia countries get our plastic. And then they sit there and try and actually recycle and turn it into other products. We found there's a couple organizations around here that will take stuff like this shredded plastic. Here's some plastic that's shredded up, and they'll turn them into like pellets that you can actually use to make products. But rather than us just baling and shipping, we wanted our program to have all of that encompassed in it. So we wanted to collect the plastic, we wanted to shred it, and essentially make it into our products. So yeah, Dustin, kind of talk more about that.
So we have several different machines that we've either built or through grants purchased to grind up the plastic and everything we do is with recycled. Most of what we have so far is like bags that don't get recycled anywhere else. We can heat those up, melt them together, and then put them through a shredder, get those chunks, and then we can end up with this is a bowl that we made out of plastic bags. We've got different kinds of bowls, like just a regular bowl. This one, this is a little smaller, but got a lot of different sizes, and we do them through different types of processes. We have injection molders, we have compression molding, we do injection molding,
extrusion, vacuum forming.
Vacuum forming is what I was trying to come up with. We recently started doing flower pots. Maybe kind of hard to tell how big it is, but it's about 10 inches tall. And then we take them and we go to different events. There's a Habitat for Humanity restore that we're going to be going to soon to sell some of our stuff. But we have kids running all the machines, doing all the sorting. The community brings in their plastic bags and their bottle caps and other bottles, things that normally would be going to the recycling center, maybe being shipped off. And we're trying to take care of that locally and maybe create this so that other people might want to do something like this in other schools. we've just got a model that we've started here. So
Yeah, so we have, sorry, I don't know if there's a machine going on back there, but hopefully you guys can hear us okay. So we actually make the injection molds. So this is an example of injection mold. We can 3D print these inserts, and then there's two halves of these that go in our injection machine. So the students will actually design these on the computer. We'll either 3D print them or mill them, and then we will put them in our injection machine, and they actually make the parts. So this whole program, all the way from collecting the plastic to cleaning it, to shredding it, to actually making the molds, doing every aspect of this the plastic recycling program for like industry is done in our program. So yeah, go ahead.
So we got a couple different like keychains. They come up with some different shapes that we can make. I don't know if you're gonna be able to make it out, but like this one's a keychain with a tractor on it. The kids really, that's limited to their,
here's a coaster. And another thing that's really nice about it too, is they start learning more about the products that are and are not recyclable. Like this is multiple types of plastic. This is dirty. This has like silicone on it. So there's some things that are and are not recyclable, but essentially this whole program together is tries to make it what we want to replicate out in the real world. So we don't have to ship our stuff to other places. We can do everything in-house, everything from getting the plastic to making the product again, like recycling, I feel like should be. But yeah, I think that's our time. So yeah.
Oh. You don't have to shut up right away. So anyway.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Finish your thought.
5 minutes and 7 seconds. So we.
Okay. Thanks for working so hard. Okay, Laura.
All right, let me share my screen here and then we will get started. All right. All right, I am Laura Jones and I'm going to be sharing about using pollinator gardens as a teaching tool. So I'm the teacher librarian at Two Springs Elementary, and I'm also a certified Nebraska master naturalist, which is basically just a fancy way to say that nature is my hobby. So what I like to do at school is take my love of reading and books and my love of nature and come up with some different lessons for my students. So the setup looks something like this. I don't actually have a club. It didn't work out well with my schedule, and sometimes with elementary, it's a little bit difficult to meet after school, but everything that I've set up could easily be adapted to a club setting. So what I do happens during library class, and it's generally a lesson, like a read aloud or something like that, and then an exploration and an activity. And many times what I try to do is collaborate with the different classroom teachers. So that way, if a classroom is learning about pollinators or amphibians or whatever, then we can connect that with whatever lesson we're doing in the library, so it has more meaning for the students. So this is the pollinator garden that we have at Two Springs, and it's an established pollinator garden. It's been there for many years. It looks really, really good. And every spring and summer, we work hard to clean it up and make sure that the pathways are clear so that the students can use it to walk around and explore in it. So what I do is I use the pollinator garden kind of like as a home base. And so we refer to it often in our lessons, and it's kind of like the focal point of a lot of the stuff that we do. So first I establish the purpose of the garden with the students, explain about native plants, pollinators, things like that. And then I make sure that all the different grades can get outside and actually explore the garden in different seasons so they can see what it looks like all throughout the year. And what I find a lot is that some students are actually afraid to walk inside the garden, like they'll walk around it, but many students are afraid to walk in, which tells me that they don't have a lot of exposure to that in their daily life. So then we refer to and use the garden in our lessons and activities. And I find that it's a really good buy-in for the students, that they feel they're a little more, I think, invested when we're talking about the importance of conservation or being eco-friendly. Like they have something concrete in their mind that they can refer back to. So some of the things that we have done, we'll go out to the pollinator garden and we will look for monarch caterpillars. And so we'll have like a monarch lesson in class, talk about migration, things like that. Then we'll go out and look for the caterpillars, and then we'll raise them in the library. And then afterwards we will tag them and then release them back into the pollinator garden. And here you can see some of our younger students looking at the chrysalis and the butterfly that's in the little butterfly home. And those are some of the books that we have used for the lessons. And I really like doing this with students because even if we're talking about monarchs migrating to Mexico, it has meaning to them because they see the same monarchs like right outside their school door. Another thing that we do is stuff like nature journals. And so we'll take out a clipboard and a piece of paper, and I'll ask the students to think about questions like, how do you feel when you're in the garden? What do you see? What do you wonder? And then depending on the grade and ability, students can either write or draw. And I really like this activity because a lot of times students will write stuff like, I feel really calm when I'm in the garden, or like when the sunshine is touching my skin, or they'll have really interesting questions about the different insects that they see. Some other activities that we do. Oh, here they are. Sorry, doing their nature journals. And there's another book example that we have used. And then here's the students bird watching. And so we'll do a lesson about a different type of bird or read a bird story. And then we work on some different skills like how to use binoculars, which many of them have never used before, or this is what a bird guide is or a field guide. And so here's a picture of them using their field guides out on the school property. And so we'll maybe talk about what birds would use the seeds in the pollinator garden and then look for those birds around the school. And other examples of things we do are lessons that have to do with ecology. We do tons of Earth Day lessons, lots of lessons about conservation. And I try really hard to bring in different speakers and outside guests and people who work in the community and have organizations in the community, and also a lot of things that are hands-on for the students. I think that has a lot of meaning for them. So here's some of the different activities that we've done together, and you can see a lot of smiles on the kiddos' faces. And here are some of my favorite resources that I'll share out later in the chat. These are 3 organizations that will send people to help you, have lesson plans online, have education trunks filled with animal skulls or pelts, stories, different things that you can use with students. So again, I will link to that in the chat afterwards. So that is my presentation about how I use pollinator gardens with the students, and it can be adapted kindergarten all the way up to 6th grade.
Okay. Well, thank you, panel. Let's see. I can imagine there still might be a chance to share other thoughts. So if you come up with something else you want to share, by all means, do that. So this, the intention of this was to help green the schools with clubs or other activities, because maybe elementary isn't as conducive to clubs as middle and high school. But let's see. So, but everybody, I'm imagining, is somehow either connected directly to the school or has kids in a school or something. And so this information, this is the kind of thing that you could share with people at school and say, hey, can we have make our school greener? You could probably share the link to this video with them or our contact information. Okay, well, hey, we're going to open it up to the masses and hear your questions. So let's see. Are there any questions? And we're not a large group. If you want to speak it, you can. If you want to put it into the, or you can put it in the chat. Hey, I've got a question to Dustin and Nathan. So where do you sell these things? You know, you create a lot of artistic kind of stuff. And you know, are they open for the general population on any kind of regular basis?
Well, we've been focused. We've gone to like the Habitat for Humanity. They have a restore sale,
Yeah, like craft fairs
or junk stock type thing. And we've gone to a couple craft fairs. There was a thing at Elmwood Park last year, I think we went to. But this year we've been focusing on trying to get our the rest of our equipment set up in this room refinished. And then we're hoping to eventually have like an online store where we can sell some stuff too. We just have, we never got to the point where we have enough product where we feel like we can open it up to the online store, because we'd always be behind. So we just take things to certain places and sell them usually.
Yeah, we normally sell out most places we go, and anyone that wants to start a club, and I saw this in a couple different like presentations too. If you can try and figure out how to twist it so you can like sell stuff, kind of like the selling flowers, to the teachers, or selling plastic products, but it helps the sustainability of your program a lot if you can kind of sustain yourself. So if you're not relying on the school for funding every single year, because we're to the point now where we can make thousands of dollars every year, and we don't have to, worry about this. I mean, we can completely fund ourselves at this point. So we got grant money to like improve our program, but then like the selling the product sustains our program, and we can improve it a little bit too. So when you're starting a club or a program, I'd really consider that. Like, how can I sustain this without extra help? Just because that can help you go a long ways.
Okay. Awesome. I know Melissa also wanted to know where she could get hold of what plastic flower pots. That's what she said.
We only have like 5 right now.
No, well, I think we have a few more, but yeah. So yeah, they're all made out of mostly plastic bags. But this one here, to get a lot more of the color, we had to throw in some bottle caps. But we have no two flower pots look exactly the same. Even if we tried, we could never get them to come out the same. But
yeah, and someone says, how do you fund it? We start off really small, and like anyone with any program, I recommend, there's so many things you want to do. I recommend getting a core thing that you're really good at and then growing from there. So we start with just recycling a couple things here and there, just with bags. And then after we proved a lot of organizations that, we know what we're doing, the grant money just started kind of rolling in at that point. So once you have an established program, it's been there for a little bit, the school's been supporting it. I mean, the grant money starts improving it. We started off with I think a $500 grant from our education foundation, and then we ended up using that to get a $1,000 grant. Then we got a $25,000 grant, and then just kept going up to, I think we're at over $250,000 right now. So now we have all this equipment to where, like I said, we have essentially a plastic manufacturing I mean, we can make as many products essentially as we want now. And we can keep growing, or we can sustain, and he uses it to teach design and modeling. I use it to teach electrical, because all these machines we wired. So then all the students learn how to do all the relay logic and stuff. So it's more than just a sustainability program. I didn't realize that's what we're here for, but yeah, so it's whatever, build your core program. And then once you start getting some grant money, just keep growing it from there, and try not to get too big too quick, because then, you're not doing anything great. So show how good you are at something, and you can kind of grow from that.
Awesome. Very good. Let's see. I know I got a question for Laura. Let's see. So Laura, what other kind of things do you think, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay, just what are the other kind of things do you imagine might fit in elementary?
Really anything. The fun thing with elementary kids is they are interested in just about anything you present to them. So any sort of, I focus a lot on nature, but you can do any sort of green topic that you want. We've done lessons on recycling. We've gone outside to pick up trash. We've caught different insects. We've, measured trees and counted tree rings. Any sort of thing, anything animal related, especially, students really, really enjoy. And there's a lot of different curriculums out there. Project Wild is a really, really good one. And there's a lot of free trainings that you can go to online and in person. I found that there's almost like too many resources out there. Like I have not had a lack of different curriculum options that I've seen. So lots of different things that students can do. getting them outside, I think, is the most important. That's why I like using the pollinator garden, is if you can get them outside so that they have that real life experience with it, they're pretty much sold on it.
Very good. Do you see Taylor is clapping for you there?
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. Well, we have a couple other people to share for a few minutes. A couple minutes. Scott, Scott Bartlett is from Omaha South. He's a member of our committee, and he had some observations that he wanted to share.
So, like you said, I teach biology and forensic science over at South High School. When I started 2 years ago, I volunteered to help with the Green Club. And that following summer, I ended up being the sole sponsor for the Green Club, which has been an interesting transition. We started doing some guppy tanks and some shrimp tanks for genetics. It was kind of all over the place. But then Steve and Chloe and Taylor from Brian kind of set some parameters and a pathway to try to get things kind of reined in a little bit. So I followed their lead on how to advertise the club, how to do a little bit of recruitment, how to kind of focus on the main projects and make sure that the kids knew what was going on. We streamlined the display cabinets in the science area. So now it's very pollinator focused. We have the garden schedule posted. We had Green Club tonight, had another 2 new members. So right now, I think my count is up to 26 and growing. And hopefully we can make sure that that continues over the summer. We have a very large pollinator garden, and the majority of the work that has been conducted out there is just getting it back to the original status that it was probably 7 years ago. I ended up meeting the lady who started that project. I actually met her at a men's garden club meeting a couple of weeks ago. They had found her, and we had an opportunity to talk about that. She's going to come over and walk through and talk about projects that she wanted to complete and some of her sponsors and everything else. So it's moving forward, and I think all of the information I got from Chloe and Steve and them has been really helpful. So I'm hoping to continue growing it and go from there.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Scott. Unless it's looking for a button. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Also someone who's going to share for a moment about Milkweed Matters. So Nancy Cruz has a couple words to share with us. She might be away from her screen right now. Well, she'll be back. So, hey, what other sorts of questions do you have, or as far as panelists, as far as others sharing, other things that didn't get put in your initial presentation? Anything you want to share?
Steve, I am here. This is Nancy. I was just having a hard time unmuting myself, and I'm going to turn my video on. If I can. There we go. There we go. Hi, everybody. So I'm Nancy Cruz, and I'm with a nonprofit called Milkweed Matters. And our purpose is to help educate about pollinator conservation and help restore habitat along roadsides and just in community gardens. So one of the ways that we restore habitat is we make seed balls. We make milkweed and native nectar flower seed balls. And we take them to a big bike ride across Iowa called RAGBRAI. And the bike riders toss the seed balls along the roadsides where those plants can grow and help restore habitat. So I'm also a member of the Green School Committee, and what I hope by being involved in this committee is that I can expand my outreach to schools to educate and make seed balls with the students. And we already do a lot of outreach with schools. But I would love to expand that outreach. And this year we're in our 10th anniversary of taking the seed balls to Ragbri. And so we have a goal of making 15,000 seed balls this year. So we could really use some help. So if any of the clubs are interested, I'll put my contact information in the chat. So thank you very much. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. There's a number of resources that have been listed in the chat. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. Maybe you just want to copy that into a kind of document so you'll have it. There's a lot of stuff. So,
I just wanted to highlight a question that Taylor asked in the chat about composting. I personally do not think that doing the composting for one day, like each week, is an effective idea. And it's honestly one that we had thought about when we first started out. But ultimately, the way that a lot of the processes work, you're kind of billed weekly. So it's more about like how much waste you have. And although like starting for one day a week may seem like less workload, then I think it would be a little bit confusing for the students that, oh, we're only doing this process for one day a week, and then we're just going to throw all our stuff in the trash the rest of the time. So although it may seem like a hefty process to take on, and kind of an expensive process to take on, that the one day a week model doesn't really work as well, at least from my understanding.
Yeah, I'll second that. I've done a composting system at my old school, and another thing that helps too is if you get them to make them feel like it's their idea. So you can just like have a deal where it's like, hey, let's write everything down that we throw away in the school, and then they just come up with paper, food, and all this other stuff. And then you just ask the question, okay, what actually needs to get thrown away? And then there'll be probably one kid in the class that's heard of composting. Then you can just play dumb. It's like, wait, what's that? And then you're just like, wait, is that something we could do here? Like, what would that look like, guys? And then you just kind of go from there. And it ends up, then it's their project. If it's your project, they won't want to do it. They'll think it's funny to mess it up. But if it's their project, then like they want to show you, how good they can do at it. And yeah, but that's just from my experience that it worked all right. It was a little bit smaller of a school, but yeah, I'm sure it could work anywhere. But yeah, I second what Chloe said too. So one day a week would be kind of tough.
Scott he put in the chat that he's got a garden cleanup there at South. If anybody wants help this Saturday morning from 9 in the morning to 1 p.m. Keep trash and maintenance. Anyway, it's cleaning up the garden at Omaha South. It's quite a project there. It's on the south side of the South. Let's see. All these things. Okay. Jackie posted, which activities have high school kids found most highly engaging to bring kids into the club and get them excited? Lloyd, do you have anything for that one?
Honestly, I found that at East we've got our indoor garden, and for a lot of time I spent making my activities based around that garden. So we would do a lot of cleanups, and it really just was all the people in the club getting together and hanging out and cleaning up. And when we would do park cleanups, we would get even people who weren't in our club to come and volunteer, especially kids who are in the NHS or groups that need volunteer hours to come and hang out. And honestly, if you make it seem like this is just a fun activity you can do with your friends and get the benefit of doing something good for the environment and something good for your volunteer hours, a lot of kids seem to take interest in that. So I just kind of tried to make each activity seem as if it was less work and more just like fun with your friends that also was like beneficial. So
For me with the ecology club, like I said before, the bats were the big thing. They brought a lot of kids that weren't connected with the club. They got hey, who doesn't want to see a bat up close? Well, there might be some people, but bats are pretty cool. But the next biggest draw was gardening. I mean, they said we're gonna garden and they came out in flocks. Maybe it was the great weather, I don't know. But we had a lot of kids that okay, maybe their parents weren't pleased with what clothes or shoes they were wearing, but you know, they got dirty. Those are our two biggest draws. I kind of think the climate change would go over better now because there's more understanding, more interest of it. Right. That'd be my 2 cents. Let's see, anybody else? I wasn't keeping up well enough on these questions. Taylor said I'm Project Wild trained herself, and she loves that program. Okay. Hey, are there any questions that were asked that we that went through the cracks that we didn't get asked? Oh, wait, there's more. It's not scrolling for me here.
Steve,
Yeah.
while you're looking up for other questions, you will probably address this. This is Don Preister, and I am inspired by the work you have done and every one of the presenters tonight. This is exceptional. Kudos to everybody. I'm seeing that it's being recorded. Where will it be available? And will all of the presenters be available in the future to answer questions or to kind of be a resource?
Well, okay. Well, thanks for your compliments. And the video, will probably be on our YouTube channel. We'll be emailing it out if you're not on our email list. We'll at least put it out on the Green Bellevue list. But we also want to have a separate one just for school happenings. And if you want to be on that list, please let me know and send me your email information. As far as contacting with anybody, I think I don't know that we're going to share contact information for others, but if anybody wants to talk and say, gee, I need to make sure I'm talking with Melissa about this plan, then they can chat and maybe send a chat, but not group directed or just back and forth. So they're connected. I think that might be the best way to connect. Unless anybody else got any other ideas. Did you have an idea, Don?
I'm just grateful. I think this is a wealth of good information from high school to elementary school, one type of project to the next, all encompassing. It is amazing.
Hi, it's Ruth. I'm sorry, I'm out walking my dog. But I've been putting a few things in the chat, and I wanted to highlight, that everyone could also join the Green Schools Committee for ongoing dialogue, sharing ideas, etc.
Thank you, Ruth. That's a good idea. Anybody want to join the committee? You're welcome. Taylor also wanted people to know there's a garden cleanup at Bryan this Saturday from 8 to 1. So if you don't make it to South, make it to Bryan. They got a bunch of different gardens around the campus that they take care of. Wait, if anyone has a club that wants to clean plastic, so Dustin puts in there, let us know. We promise to actually recycle the plastic into amazing products. That's cool. Yeah, can we just dump all our plastic at your place?
Well, right now, yes and no. We don't really have a good way to clean it. We were able to renovate a room that's 30 by 40 to use for everything, but there's no drain, there's no sink hookup, so we don't have a good way to clean anything where we're at. But any clean plastic, we can certainly shred and pelletize or make into sheets or make into other things. We can turn it into a lot of things. We have a machine that is ordered and should be coming soon that we can make boards with it. So we could do like those benches. But we haven't seen it. We ordered it months ago and haven't seen it yet. So.
And before like people to start sending like a bag of trash or plastic, you know, our way, we really prefer if it's like all the same kind. It just makes the sorting process a lot easier. So like, for example, those plant trays that, you know, you might get from Menards or Home Depot that your 6-pack of plants come in, that just has a little bit of dirt, you know, or some like peat moss on it. It just needs to get rinsed off. And then we can just shred, like I work part-time in Menards too, and we go through like a truckload of those a week, just the plastic, but we just can't recycle
They
them.
just throw it out. They don't even recycle.
Yeah, they don't recycle them. They just throw them away. So I was taking them for a while, but then we can't really clean them that quickly. So anything that you see is a lot of one kind of plastic, you can shoot us an email and we'll let you know if we can recycle it, if you guys clean it.
Yeah. The one thing I guess we should point out is that right now we only deal with certain numbers of the recycling numbers. We don't deal with number 1. Number 3, definitely not PVC. That's toxic to melt. But basically 2, 4, 5, 6, and even 7 we can do. We just definitely don't do 1 and 3. If we have enough of any of those other things, we can work with it. It's just if we don't have very much, it's hard to do any of our processes. But
It's complicated.
yeah.
Well, and that's the fun part is that students realize how complicated plastic recycling is and what it would take to actually, you know, create a recycling system and not just ship it somewhere else for them to make one more thing. Like those benches are amazing, but they don't get recycled after that. It's like a one more life thing. So we're trying to, you know, instill that all of our products need to be able to be recycled again. So like, let's actually figure out how to recycle products and stuff like that. So it's a whole avenue that they can kind of go down, but.
Very good. Very good. Hey, if anyone wants to make, you know, personal contact and share contact information with somebody they want to follow up with, by all means, do that, put it in the chat or however you want to do that. Anybody else got any words of wisdom that they want to share? Okay, well, I think this is terrific. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of it. Oh, I should check my notes in case there's something important there. Probably not. Nope, we talked about the recording. Awesome. No, I think we're good. Hey, thank you all for participating, and everybody for being here. And we want to let you know, about other things that come up. So hey, please make sure you're on our list. And so we might have brainstorming sessions on, where we go, what are the best ways to support green schools. So
Hey, quick question. Well, do you know if I'm not familiar, but will the chat show up in the recording also?
I do not know.
Well, I didn't know if there's somewhere, like if you look through the chat, that you could put all the emails that people shared in the chat in the YouTube description or something. So if people do want to get a hold of us, if that doesn't show up or anybody wants to contact.
I don't know if I have the last ones, but I did copy this moments ago. Let's see if I got all of it.
Okay.
And
that way, anybody that watches it in the future would be able to get a hold of any of us that.
There you go. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Thank you for that, Dustan. Okay, I will. If I have your email address, I will send you a copy of the chat. Awesome. You guys are terrific. It's great to hear all the great work you guys are doing. Keep it up. And we'll see you next time. Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, everybody.